Hey friends, Catherine here. Today I'm going to be doing up envelopes and Christmas cards to send to my family in the mail. So I'm going to show you doing one of them, and then I'll make a bunch more off camera. And then I think probably next video I will show you pouring the wax seals on them, because I think doing wax seals is extra fun. So we'll do that first. Let's look at the paper I've set aside for this. I've got some red and some green, 12 by 12, like just a little bit more heavier than standard paper, and those are going to make like the foundation of the envelopes. Then I have got a whole pack of Christmas paper that will be fun to use. We'll do the cards from that and maybe some pockets, and then I've got some just plaid, a whole book of plaid paper, because I particularly like plaid papers, and I think for like Christmas themes and for winter themes it's really excellent. And then the last thing that I've set aside for this one is a black and white paper pack. There should probably be some things in here that will be good to use. Maybe, maybe not. I saw some stars just a moment ago there. That could be fun. But we'll see if we end up even end up using that. Today's envelope is going to be different than last week's. It's going to be smaller for one, and it's also going to fold differently. One piece of 12 by 12 paper is going to make 2 envelopes. And the first thing that I'm going to do is just take and score the fold lines for both envelopes. So I'm going to take and score it at 12, or not 12, sorry, 2. Score it at 2 inches. And then I will score it at 6 inches. And then this is the tricky part, because I haven't exactly decided how I want it to end up yet. If I score it at 3. So if I score it at 9, it'll leave me a section with 3 inches and a section with 3 inches. So I think I'll score it at 9 1/4. That way this one is about half an inch longer than this section is half an inch longer than this section. So I've got it scored at, oh, that's not going to work, 2, 6, and 9 1/4. Then I'm going to take and turn my paper and score it at 6. And that 6-inch score mark is where we're going to be cutting it. So let's get our scoreboard out of the way and pull out our cutter and cut it in half. There we go, and then this will be the 2 envelopes. And the envelopes will end up being 6 inches wide by 4 inches high, which I think is a good size for cards. And I'll also be able to include some small pockets and things as well. So I'm going to take it then from the side that is 2 3/4 inches and fold it over. And then I'm going to take that folded side and fold it at the next fold mark. And then I'm going to take this one and fold it there. And that is going to be the size of our finished envelope. So that's 4 high and 6 wide. And that's going to be the front. And this will be the side that has the seal on it. And because it's 4 high and this flap is 2 inches, the seal will be exactly in the center, which I think might be fun this time around. And then you can open it up, and it opens again. And then I can have pockets in each of these sections. So I will set aside this one for later. And now we are going to want to start making the pockets. The first pocket we'll want to make is the one to hold the card. And I'm going to do that on this largest section here, which I'm going to turn around that way just because in my head that's how I picture it being, so it helps me to see it this way. And let's grab our, not our holiday paper, let's grab our plaid pack, because we'll make this pocket out of plaid. And since that's red, let's find a green plaid that we like, or you know, a sort of green plaid, kind of like that one, but I don't immediately see it in the pack. Let's see if we can find it. There it is, or well, something close enough. Anyway, so let's just tear that out. Let's actually, do I want to grab the other one out of here too? Yeah, let's pull the other one out too, that way we don't have to try to find it. So we'll just tear that out as well. And then the pocket section is going to need to be about 4 inches wide, and I think maybe half the width tall, so 3 inches, maybe 3.5 inches tall, just so that it covers the majority of this section. And for a pocket, I don't want to glue it right to here. I want to have the full use of this space for putting the card in. So I think I will do tabs on the sides and the bottom that fold under, and those can be glued down. That way the glue doesn't interfere with the space that the card can take up. So our tabs will be 1/2 inch, because I personally feel that that's a good tab size. So we're going to, let's actually cut this section down. Let's see, if it's going to be 3.5 high, we will cut it at 4 inches. So let's just mark that and cut it. End up turned around weird. Okay, and then cut it where I scored it. Go. There we go, that's better. And then set the excess aside for the moment. We'll come back to it, I think. We might do another pocket out of that same plaid, I don't know, we'll see. And then we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. And then at 4.5 inches. And then at 5 inches. And since I know we're going to want at least one more pocket of this size, let's do that again. So from the 5 mark, 1/2 inch, so that's 5.5 inches. And then 4 inches from there is 9.5. And then 1/2 inch from there again. And then we can, this section is small enough that I will just trim it off with scissors. Go, and I'll set that aside. And then we will take and turn it and score it at 3.5 inches. Okay, now we need, since we have 2 of these, we need to cut these 2 apart. And I've got this section right in the middle. You may not be able to see it, but there's 3 scores directly next to each other. So I'm just going to cut on the center one. And set one of these pockets aside for later. And then, to make sure that the pocket works out well, I'm going to trim across the corner, making sure that my scissors, where I'm cutting, meets up right with where the two score lines cross each other. So there and there. And I don't have to be at exactly 45 degrees, because as long as it's all one cut, they'll line up anyway. But also it's going to be folded out under, so you won't be able to see it. So let's actually go ahead and do that now and fold those under. And once we've done that, we will double check and make sure that it fits okay on our backing. And it does. Now there's another consideration to be had here, and that is that the card will slip into the pocket this way, but I'm not sealing up these edges. So if I just leave this envelope here like this with it open to the outside edge, it's going to mean that the card, when it's in handling, may just slide right out. So I want to also put a flap that comes over this direction, which will also cover the card, and that can tuck either directly into the pocket, or I can cut a slot right there to tuck the flap into, and that's what I think I'm going to do. And it doesn't have to be particularly big or fancy, but what I do want to do is flip it over to the back, grab my pen and a ruler, and let's mark just the width of the ruler from the edge. So I'm lining up my edge of the ruler with the edge of the paper, and lining up the 0 at the top, and marking it just ½ inch down. I'm just putting a really light mark because I don't want the ink to soak through. Not that it's likely to in any case, but it is a possibility. And then I'm going to just line up my ruler with the other side of the paper, and a 4 is good there, a 4 at the top, and then mark ½ inch down. And then I can just draw a line from both edges, and that gives me a straight and even line directly from the top of the paper. And I can then find just a little box knife or craft knife or X-Acto knife, whatever you've got lying around, and gently and carefully, being sure to cut away from myself, follow that line with my knife. And that gives me something to tuck a flap into. So let's get this glued down first before we move on anywhere else. So I'm going to open up those flaps that I folded and grab a glue stick and a bit of scrap paper. That way I'm not putting glue directly on my cutting mat. And just put glue all over those flaps. Go. Glue all over the flaps. And then I'll fold them back over and do my best to line up with the very bottom and the folded marks of the backing. And just stick everything down nice and flat. Okay. Alright, pocket done. Now for the flap. And that I'll do in this same color because I want it to match. And the flap is actually going to be a lot easier to do. So let's take this spare piece that we cut off and line it up here. And I'm going to want it to be let's see, so the slit, since it's a 1/2 inch from the top, is exactly at the halfway mark, which is kind of fun and interesting, which is 3 inches. So to stick beyond that, I'm going to want it to be at least 3.5 inches long, and this is 4 wide, but I don't need any side edges. So let's take and mark it at 4 inches. 4 inches. And then cut it. And then I'm going to, let's see, so that's the width. So then I'm going to mark it at a 1/2 inch. And then from there, I'm going to mark it, it needs to be at least 4. So I'm going to mark it at 4.5. And I'm also going to mark it at a 1/2 inch again. And then I need 4.5 from there, which is at the 5. That second half is at the 5. So I need 4.5 from there, so that puts me at 9.5. And then we will go ahead and cut those apart really quickly. I'm going to cut it at the 5-inch mark here. That can't be right. Let me just hold this back up to my guy real quick. Yeah, no, that's right. Which also means I need to redo this last score at 9, not 9.5. One of these days I'll figure things out. 9. There we go. This paper is thin, so if I press kind of hard I can cut through it with my, actually, and I will do that for both of those. So let's see, 4.5. There we go. Okay, now we are going to fold each of these creases that we left over. So now we have a perfect 4x4 square. And then we are going to take our angle finder and score it so that the, ooh, that's not going to work. Let's just real quick encourage that score back out of it. We want, let's see, we want it to that corner. So we're going to take our creased edge and put it away. We want it to the center. Okay, let's, before I do anything else, let me just find the center and then line it up. I completely lost that mark there. Angles always get me, but there we go. That one. And then line it up the other way. And do that. Close enough. And then just trim those angles off. See, I'm figuring things out as I go. Sometimes it doesn't always work out, but hey, you know, sometimes it does. Sometimes things work out and sometimes it just takes a little bit of fiddling. That's okay, because I'm a fiddling with things kind of person. But that'll give us our flap that glues down by that tab and then tucks down into the slit that we did. So let's do that once more while we're at it to make sure that it matches up for the next one. At 45. And then the other way. Perfect. I'll just set that aside for the moment and take this off. And then we need our scrap paper back out again because we're going to put glue on this tab. And then I will turn that around because it's easier for me to see and line it up with the edge of the paper and the edges of the crease, and that does it. So that will, if I did everything correctly, tuck into that, and it does. Ooh, that. Sorry about that, camera cut out for a second there. I'm just gonna continue sticking things on and decorating. There's a little bit missed where I stuck down this pocket, but it's the exact same as this one, just a bit taller, that's all. So let's start by establishing how wide it's going to be. And it is going to be 6 inches wide. So we're going to put a crease there at the 6-inch mark. And then because that leaves 6 inches, we can make 2 cards out of this. And then I'm going to, alright, I want it to be slightly less than 6 inches. So let's actually take it and do just 1/8 of an inch, less than 6 inches, and then 1/8 of an inch more than 6 inches. And that will give us a 1/4 of an inch section that we lose out of the middle, but that's okay. I can accept that. And then we want it to be just slightly less than 4 inches tall. So let's turn it and go to 4 inches and then 1/8 of an inch less. And then, because I want it to be a fold over card, I will go to 8 inches and 1/4 of an inch less than 8 inches. So that's 7 3/4. And that should give us 2 cards, if my brain is working that out right. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's always an adventure. Okay, we've got our cutter. Let's cut it first so that that full excess comes off. We will save that for later, and then we will cut it at one line there, and that gives us 1 card, and then cut that little 1/4 of an inch section off. And that gives us our second card. Okay. Set that aside and fold these. So that's one. And then that's the other one. That card can go in there, this can fold here, and let's actually take that back out here, and here, and then this folds right up like this, and you can seal it with a wax seal, and put it in the mail. Well, that's what I'm doing for this video, and now I just have 20 more of these guys to make. I will see you all in the next video when we do the wax seals on these envelopes. Until then, bye!